Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Rubbin is Racing podcast. It's brought to you by Cabo Wabo Tequila. Cabo Wabo Tequila is unquestionably Mexican tequila with an undeniably American attitude. And this isn't just tequila, it's damn good, it's thick cut, and it's 100% Blue Weber agave tequila. Cabo Wabo Tequila is the official tequila partner of NASCAR. You can add a bold splash to race day watching by drinking a little bit of Cabo Wabo Tequila. If you're heading to Dover on the 27th, come celebrate race day with Cabo Wabo. And they want to remind you to leave the driving to the professionals this week. Go enjoy the thick cut, bold taste of Cabo Wabo tequila responsibly. Grab your buds and a bottle of Cabo Wabo for the boldest race day experience imaginable. You got to be 21 years or older to handle this, and please handle it responsibly, as we always do. Thank you so much, Cabo Wabo. We love it, and on to the show. Not a lot as far as headlines this week. Just a trend that I noticed is that NASCAR drivers love to fuck. And Bubba just announced this weekend that he and his girlfriend, I don't know if it's his girlfriend or his wife, I didn't even take a look at it, are expecting a baby. So two things I know about NASCAR guys: you can't be over 6'5" and 300 pounds. I found that out the hard way. And they love having unprotected sex. So congratulations to Bubba and his lovely, lovely wife, girlfriend, whatever it is, on the announcement that they're having a bambino. Before we get going, I just want to say thank you again last week to Mark Martin. He had come on. James Hallis had put him in front of us, and we were excited to have him on. We had no idea that the clip of him and Spider was going to go viral on very non-traditional NASCAR sites.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Spider, were you expecting anything like that as far as the response from NASCAR legend?
I wasn't expecting that at all. Shout out Mamba. I think he was the one that originally told me that Mark Martin was a Gucci Mane fan, and then I also saw it on his Wikipedia. So I wasn't expecting it to be like earth-shattering breaking news.
Mm-hmm.
But the response online was certainly surprising. Especially, I woke up and I saw it on like Double XL and like Complex and sites that I wouldn't traditionally see NASCAR content on. So I love it. I mean, super shout out to Mark Martin for giving us that little tidbit, and I think it's great. The whole effort of what we're trying to do is get new eyes on the sport, and I think we did that with that clip. So hopefully we can get more of that and build on that.
And I'm sure there was a headline years ago. Like that was a big headline. It was just, not, it was just common knowledge to everybody. But like you're saying, with this new crew coming in, seeing that a 65-year-old legend, right, never won a championship, but had over 50 wins, that type of Hall of Famer, be digging on Gucci Mane so much, was wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
I
So,
think it was really the first time that it was like said in a like video format, other than
Yeah.
maybe like on a race in 2005. But I think some people knew about it, but I don't think it was ever like a clip like that out there.
He
which is
also
awesome.
went off. I mean, he
Yeah.
went on like a
There-
90-second tangent
there's
about
a-
why he loves.
There's a legitimate possibility that we have a Gucci Man song that opens with
A sample.
him going off about how good Gucci Mane is.
There's
yeah,
no one in Gucci Mane's area code. That's going to be included
Yeah,
in the next
it
album.
really might be, because Gucci Man has seen it. He's retweeted it and told him that he's got to come to one of his concerts.
Yeah.
as soon as we stopped recording that day, Quiggs had immediately said, I'm going to clip that and we'll have that out before the podcast even drops.
Yeah, which I
So,
knew it was a great clip. I didn't know to the extent that it was a great clip.
Yeah.
Like
so,
it was, I was like even hesitant about sending it to like our own people, being like this should go on the main accounts, which I did do. But I was like, I don't know if it'll be cool for NASCAR people. I don't know how much other people would care, and it got way outside of NASCAR.
Yeah, I think it was very cool. And then this week we're flipping the script on that, and we have Alvin Kamara in for an interview. Spider and I were able to get him at Talladega. We had just gotten back from Talladega. We were originally going to use the media center, but Alvin was like, if you guys just want to do it at the RV, so old school. We just sort of got the back room of the RV and sat down with Alvin Kamara and chopped it up for probably about a half hour. The guy is, we'll get to it a little bit later on. The guy's an absolute gem. Before we get to Sunday, Jesse Love wins Saturday in Double OT. I think we all cashed a ticket on that because we were speaking about it before last week's show, in a race where there were 34 lead changes among 16 drivers. we were down in the pits. Spider and I had started the race down in the pits because Swanee was on the Jesse Love car. So it was the two pit boxes were next to each other, Austin Hills and Jesse Love's. And we'd even seen at the end of stage one, Jesse had barely cleared Austin Hill, made a really aggressive move. And we had heard Austin Hill come over the radio and say something to the tune of, tell that young kid if he does that again, I'm going to put him in the fucking wall. So Jesse Love is racing aggressively. I had seen an interview with him on, I think, Door Bumper Clear. Kid is, he's pretty cool. He kind of knows his shit. He stays in his lane. He's like, I don't know too much about technology, but this is what should happen. He was giving his perspective from both the driver and as a person who watches the races then on Sunday. Big future ahead of him. RCR was saying how much they're hoping that they can keep him, obviously. So congratulations to him. And the only other thing that I had seen out of Saturday's race, other than being a fantastic race, was this positive story. We all spoke about Ryan Sieg last week, who lost to Sam Mayer at Texas in that photo finish by 2/1000ths of a second. He won the Dash for Cash bonus in Talladega. So even though he lost last week, he got $100,000 richer this week. So congratulations to him. That goes a long way. So that's it. Otherwise, we really didn't see too much. Talladega was weird. We'll get into the nuts and bolts of it, but there was impending rain, which looked to want to just absolutely destroy everything on the racetrack, and it didn't. It just destroyed everything basically on the boulevard, except for the hardcore drinkers and a lot of girls who decided to show their tits, which was a cool thing to see.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you guys a part of that at
No.
all?
I've been lucky to see the Talladega titties a lot of times. This time seemed a little bit lesser than the other.
Lesser?
Well, hear me out. Hear me out. Like maybe it was because of the rain or for whatever reason, but it felt like the boulevard was rocking. Like we got the full boulevard experience last year, in other years past. This, I pretty much got the experience on Twitter. I did not see the titties firsthand.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
So I'm glad that 10 million people
there.
on Twitter did see the titties. Large and I did not see the titties in real life this trip. However,
I'm basing it off the one video I saw, and it looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
Black Tank Top did a great job. I don't know who she is, but she deserves a small medal. Yeah.
She's welcome to our campsite.
The internet
next year.
will find her.
Spider and I started the weekend in Clarksburg, West Virginia at Rough and Rowdy. So we were there till midnight or so on Friday in Clarksburg. And then Spider and I took the PJ to Chicago. And then I checked into an airport, Hilton, for a couple hours. We took a domestic flight, commercial flight, then down to Birmingham. And then we humped from Birmingham over to Talladega. So we didn't get to see anything on Friday, which was our big day last year. We were on the float. That's when I saw the girl who dumped him out, and I gave her a whole case of beads and told her to put that fucking thing back on. Don't ever do that again. So we had it truncated because of our schedule and because of the rain. We did get gypped out of the boulevard for the most part, but I will gladly give up the boulevard than have what happened to us at Daytona and not get to see any racing. So
you're not supposed to say that anymore?
What's that?
Gypped.
Oh, yeah, because
it's a slur.
a gypsy connotation,
A gypsy
right?
slur, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll let it fly, though.
Guilty. Unless there's anything else to talk about on Saturday, I think Sunday's just what we get right to it. And Sunday wound up being a honey of a day. Sun came out right after the race started. I got sunburned. But the rain was kind of impending all morning. There was a little bit of drizzle right after driver introductions. But then everything got very, very beautiful. A little bit on the chilly side for people who were in the stands in the shade. But everything went off without a hitch for NASCAR weather-wise, and that's huge for them because we spent a lot of time with the NASCAR people at this race, and they're all with puckered assholes, just waiting to see what Mother Nature's going to throw at them. So it worked out in their favor. I'm going to mention right away that we had Grace O'Malley, who's out of her fucking mind, and Brianna LaPaglia from Plan Brie and BFFs.
Is that how you say it?
LaPaglia?
It's close enough, yeah.
Yeah, like how would you say it?
I don't know it well enough.
I never knew her.
LaPaglia.
Better. That's got to be better than Mooney's.
Yeah, I still can't get that. I can't get it out of my bag. What did you think, Spider? So at the end of this trip, and I know I'm skipping ahead, we bring people all the time.
Yep.
How did you think the girls fared in this trip?
I thought it was incredible. We had an incredible a combination of people. Between the Barstool guys, obviously you and I are fortunate to go to a lot of the races, but Brianna and Grace came in and they went head first. They went all in. They stayed on the RV in the infield, which I was jealous of. They really did everything. They met a lot of drivers, spent time with Haley Deegan, Tony Breidinger, other drivers. They saw Paul Swan, met the pit crews. So really, I appreciate their contributions to the weekend. It's always fun bringing and being alongside coworkers that actually are interested in asking questions like, hey, what is that? Or like, which it seemed like they were very much genuinely into it. And then also Sunday, actually watching the race, we get up to the suite and the other people that NASCAR were hosting happened to be Alabama football and the C Boys, who are a group of YouTubers who do like car content, some cool videos. And between those three, the Barstool people, Alabama football, and the C Boys, it was just incredible energy in there. Everyone was having a good time. We had a great suite right on the start-finish line, and it was really incredible. So I appreciate everyone that contributed to the vibes this week, especially on Sunday. We had a great time in that suite. We were living the suite life, as I said.
I think the vibes were good regardless, like you're saying. Cabo Wabo was flowing. Everybody was having a good time. Everybody was getting along. But the race itself, particularly through the first two stages, didn't have a lot to offer. As we were telling people how crazy it gets at Talladega. So I don't know if towards the end people were like, this hasn't been that crazy. It's almost been respectful. But then the ending, that suite erupted. And I think that's as loud as I'd heard because we were lucky enough to get into these suites every now and again. That's the loudest I heard a luxury suite in my life, and it was fucking awesome. So It makes you. It's that like encore at a concert. You know what I mean? As long as they bring the fucking house down, you walk out to the parking lot, thinking that you went to the best show in the world, but it may not have been. But I think everyone's walking away being like, "Wow, NASCAR's the shit."
Especially, Talladega. It's like you're almost guaranteed to have a incredible finish or something dramatic happening late in the race, and we did. So
going back to like the first two stages being bad, like obviously because of the whole fuel saving thing that's going on, when you're there watching it, can you tell that they're going like way slower than they should be? Because broadcast you can't really, other than the fact that they're talking about it and they'll show the telemetry, but like the way the camera moves, you can't tell they're going any slower. Like, is it visibly?
I didn't know until I asked the Chase Briscoe's pit box was nice enough to host us.
Yeah.
So I was like asking the pit guys. I was like, "What's the pit window here? Like, when are they coming in?" And then I didn't know that they were saving until he told me. He's like, "Hey, they're doing what they did at Daytona. It's like they're babying the throttle." But to answer your question, no, I couldn't tell. Now, maybe that's because I'm a rookie, novice idiot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like Peyton, who was one of the producers for Brianna and Grace, she asked me right when the race started. She's like, this is a stupid-ass question she asked me. She's like, did the race start or are they just, like, warming up? And I was like, no, they're only going, like, half speed. And I was, like, joking saying that, but it turned out, they were babying the throttle, so I went back after and I had to explain to her like what was happening and that they would be going faster later in the race.
As the biggest rookie in this group, I can tell you that I noticed it down when we were in the pits, like sort of being there, having them kind of rush by. Once we got up to the suite, you really weren't able to notice it. I think your perspective from up there is a little less intimate. So I could tell a little bit, but not where it pissed me off.
I guess you notice more the style
also
than the speed, because like when they are in fuel save, nobody's trying to really make any moves. So
just
for context, we saw the first until they pitted for the first pit stop we saw on pit road, but then we went from pit road to the suite, which sneaky took a while, so we missed a good portion of a lot of laps. So I don't know if it would have been something that would have been more visible if we were sitting down watching in one spot, kind of like we would a TV broadcast, but given that we were bouncing around, I didn't notice it until it was pointed out.
Shout out to the kids from Alabama too. My son brought a crew with him, and everyone seemed to have a pretty good time. You talk about bringing people from Barstool and whether or not they're comfortable. I think, Grace was hanging off the back of a moving golf cart asking guys to show her their balls. Like that was her whole thing. Show us your balls. I want to see big swinging ball. You know what I mean? Which doesn't fly if you're going, to most sporting events. I don't think, and obviously, I'm generalizing, but it fit right in Talladega. So I think she got to see a lot of balls. So it was good. And then one of my favorite traditions in NASCAR, and we got to be a part of it last year when we were down on the grid, when the big rig came around during the national anthem. It's the only time where you really take your eye off the flag. And the big rig comes around. I had to tell, hey, girls, by the way, me and Spider and Dana, we were in that last. Oh, Dana Beers was down there again with us. He was awesome. And seeing that directly before the flyover was just, again, another one of those patriotic moments for NASCAR that you can only really experience, I think, correctly by being down there at a race. And then the highlight of the weekend, obviously, was a Moonhead sighting. Apparently, I missed him because I was vapor locked on somebody like one of the Monster Energy girls. But Moonhead was there in full force. So, and he's just fucking majestic. Yeah. So Sunday's race, as we were just talking about, was all about fuel management until basically the end of the third stage. Josh Berry was quoted as saying, "We just ride around and save gas, and then we wreck at the end." And that's basically what people who didn't finish, that was their experience at the race. So it was a clean race to start, 2 stages with no cautions except for the stage breaks. And then we got into some of the madness. So I think the best way to go through some of the madness is just to tell a very interesting top 10 again this week, which I love. So I think the best way we can do that is to say who had a pretty cool week and who didn't. So we'll do the Nobody's Cooler, brought to you by Arctic Coolers. We believe in great quality gear. Shouldn't cost a whole paycheck. I'm actually drinking one of their tumblers right now. So it's personalized, laser etched with large. Arctic Coolers are overbuilt, not overpriced, meaning our durable products cost 30 to 50% less than competitors. Premium coolers and drinkware engineered to perform and overbuilt to last year after year. Ultralight wheeled coolers have all-terrain wheels that don't snag, crack, or ever get a flat. Soft pack coolers are tough, waterproof, and float, so you can take them from the road to the water. And Arctic's insulated drinkware locks in the temperature whether your drinks are icy cold or red hot. And Arctic is available at Walmart right now. So head to your local store and shop in person, or you go to arcticoutdoors.com. That's RTIC outdoors.com. And I'm telling you, they had a couple of coolers at our RVs, which we had taken around with us. They were fucking awesome once again. The Arctic people were there. Corey LaJoy had built some sort of motorcycle trike around his Arctic cooler. So these things have basically blown those other more expensive coolers out of the water as far as I'm concerned. So as Father's Day rolls around, get one. Nobody had a cooler week. I'll go first if that's okay, boys.
Yep.
Is that cool? Nobody had a cooler week than Bo Reddick. I don't think he knows it just yet, but that little guy was in the arms of Michael Jordan. And sometimes when you take a picture with a celebrity when you're a kid, and then years later you're like, holy shit, I was with the greatest to ever do it, I think that kid's really going to enjoy himself in a couple of years when he sees that. Not that he doesn't get to meet enough celebrities, and not that he hasn't met Jordan before because he is his dad's boss, but I think just that moment, and we're going to talk about Jordan in a little bit, because he was downright fucking giddy. Michael Jordan does not get giddy the way that he got giddy after that race. This guy has 6 rings, and now he has 6 Cup Series wins. He hasn't been live for any of them, so this was his first one, and he was absolutely elated, smiling ear to ear with Tyler Reddick's kid in his arm. And I think that's going to be a memory that kid's going to remember forever. So I'm just going to throw that out as Bo Reddick being the coolest of the week for me, from Arctic Coolers. You guys tell me who you think was pretty cool this week.
Yeah, I'll go. I kind of have 2, and I know there's Nobody's Cooler. It's kind of like one person can win.
Right.
But I'll give a runner-up, and I'll start with the runner-up, Hailie Deegan, her best finish, 12th place in the Xfinity Series. It looked like she could have won the race if she had a little bit of help from her teammate.
Which she didn't get at all.
Yeah, which honestly, I'll take the under on Riley Herbst in the same breath now. I'll save that. But Riley, come on, man. Ford, monster athlete. You guys have so much in common. You can't get on her bumper and push her. You probably could have just ridden that even
it would have helped both of them.
Exactly, to his benefit as well. So I'm really impressed with what I saw from Hailie. A 12th place finish doesn't tell the full story of the race. I think she could have finished way better than that, and really encouraging effort from what I've seen from Hailie. On to my winner. My winner is going to be Anthony Alfredo, who finished third in the Xfinity Series and followed it up with a 6th place finish in Cup. So shout out Dude Wipes. That car's been running pretty hot, and Alfredo on double duty this weekend delivers in both races. So I was really impressed with him, and always good to see my fellow Connecticut Italian Paisan boy doing well. So love it for him.
I had two. I'll talk more about one, I guess, because one of them was MJ, which you kind of for all the same reasons as Reddick's son. But it's just cool to see him winning, and he did a little post-game press conference, and he slipped into like NBA mode for a second. He was like, "Unbelievable game. I mean, race." And that it was just cool to see him win and be there because he's never been there for a win. And then we've already talked about it, but you got to put Mark Martin coolest of the week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anytime you're on hotraptakes.com and every comment's like, this guy's invited to the cookout. He's on Dat Piff. I know he's for real. Nobody cooler than him. So go with that.
And one of the things that Jordan had said at the press conference, he's like, there's more pressure to win. The pressure to win is worse in NASCAR as an owner than it was for him as a player in basketball because he can't change anything from the pit box. He has to compete vicariously through drivers, from a guy who spent his career taking over games and putting, teams on his back and whatnot. And then he even got a little shot in at Denny because Denny had said that he was bad luck since he had never been there for any of the wins. And he's like, it was very nice of Denny to spin out and all that kind of stuff. Toyota's got in the line and everybody got fucked from it. But yeah, there was a lot. So as far as Arctic, Nobody's Cooler, those are all our guys. There are a lot of other people who obviously had great weekends. Tyler Reddick, 6th win at 6 different racetracks. So for a guy who kind of has, that specialty driver feel to him at the beginning of his career, this is his first one on a super speedway. And it was his 9th start at Talladega, and he never had a top 5 finish before Sunday. So congratulations to Tyler. He's now a playoff driver, and much deserved, right? Because the rest of the Toyotas kind of shit the bed. I'm sure we're going to get to them at the under. Look at this top 10 list, though. I mean, you see Brad K. It's his 5th second place finish since his last win. I mean, that's something that's pretty admirable. Then our guy, Noah Gragson, qualifies 36, but he finishes P3, best ever finish in the Cup.
And a legitimate P3. Didn't just fluke his way in there at the end. He was up there for the entire third stage.
Noah?
Yeah.
Yeah, the overstock cars looked really good. I was impressed with both of them.
Yeah. And then, Ricky, obviously after winning at Daytona, we kind of know what he can do at super speedways. And P4 is his best finish of the season. But one of the guys that I want to give some shine to that we don't a lot is Bowman. He's not on a hot seat at all. I kind of said, could he be on the hot seat with Chase finally getting off the schneid? But he had a good performance, and he got a P5 at Talladega. It's his 4th top 5 of the season. We're only 10 races in. He had 4 top 5s all of last season. So he's putting together a nice little 2024. And he's the best Hendrick car by far, obviously, on Sunday. So this week's special for him on this Sunday at Dover, will make his 300th career Cup Series start, and that's after he turns 31 the day that this podcast comes out, which is Thursday, so happy birthday to him, and definitely one of the guys who overperformed. So 9 different teams in the top 10 this week, so basically the whole board isn't over. You got Todd Gilliland, right? You had, and even Harrison Burton.
2311 pit crew.
Yeah,
taking the over on.
Yeah, why not? Do you guys have anybody else who outperformed? Do you want to get to who shit the bed?
I like Brad K from P2 great, but he's the one that basically stopped the fuel save. He was on, which you guys might not have even noticed because it was more of a broadcast thing, but he basically had a little more fuel in the tank than everyone else, and his he was just on the mic and he said, "We have more gas. Let's just push these guys, make them shit their pants, basically, because we're about to change all their strategy." So he was the one that kind of got everything moving in the third stage.
Shout out to who was that? Brett K?
Yeah.
And we weren't privy to any of the announcers, obviously, but Fox is getting lambasted for their coverage. from what I'd
They
seen
always
all over
are.
the place. They always are. Yeah, you're right. But it just seems like, I don't know, they can't get it right, or at least according to a couple of very loud people on social media.
Yeah.
Spider, you want to get to the unders, or is there anybody else you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, I wouldn't say over on these guys, but I feel like SVG 28th, Zane Smith 29th, and Suarez in 26th does not tell the story of those guys' race. Suarez tweeted after the race, "How did I finish 26th? I felt way better about the race than that." Something to that tune. And I kind of feel the same way. Those three guys, I feel like, looked better than where they finished. So, I don't know. The unders. I don't.
Go to it.
I mean, it's tough to talk shit on a plate track, but I mean, I was
You-
pretty had high expectations for a lot of the Toyotas, whether it be Bell or Hamlin, and even Bubba kind of didn't finish as well. But I mean, I say that, and Tyler Reddick won the fucking race, so I don't know. I think we should abolish giving unders on this show, but
I got
Yeah.
two
Okay. I mean,
that
outside of
that I
Reddick,
think deserve it.
there was no Toyotas in the top 10. And then all the
yeah,
guys you mentioned, John Hunter, Eric Jones, Bubba, Denny, and C. Bell, they're all outside the top 30 with Rex, right?
right.
Yeah.
I
So they
mean,
have
I
shit done.
also take an under as much as you're saying the Toyota's disappointed, which I kind of agree with. Aside from Reddick, like questionable strategy call as they kind of broke off from the pack. John Hunter, Eric Jones got in kind of a crazy wreck. Hopefully, Eric Jones can recover quickly.
Oof.
I'm not even sure his current status. I know he's been released from the hospital, thankfully, but in terms of if he will race this week, we don't know. So, sending positive vibes to Eric Jones. But yeah, the Toyotas. But in that same breath, Large, I'm going to take another under on Ford. Ford's still searching for the first win. I thought this would have been a great opportunity. Brad Kay, a guy who desperately needs a win, who's now, I don't know, we keep saying how much, 100+ weeks without a win. For them to finish, 2-3, they're right there. And they had McDowell leading. I feel like it's another missed opportunity for Ford. And I don't think the Dover recent winner history is very friendly to Ford either. I think they've won maybe 2 of the last, 9. So they kind of got to figure it out.
I think the Toyota strategy call, I think, actually would have played out and worked. I think the under has to go to John Hunter, who that's a situation where you can't wreck. You were solely in a pack that needs to stay together, move. It should be a very simple, nobody in that pack's trying to pass. Nobody's doing anything funky, and to basically wreck the entire manufacturer other than the guy who won. So
Yeah.
I guess the strategy worked out where for him,
Right.
you can't wreck there. That's crazy. And
And
then if
he
I have
got
to give him,
into he got into Bubba, who then got into Eric Jones, correct? I mean, that's
Yeah, the
yeah,
the
yeah.
whole strategy just seemed questionable to me, and obviously it's hard to say that now with Reddick end up winning the thing, but
yeah, I think it would have worked though. I think it would have forced everybody else's hand, and they would have had the upper hand. I guess you never know, and then I'll give my other under to Ty Gibbs solely because he basically stopped the third
yeah.
line forming on the last 2 laps. He just killed that line and made it a 2-line race. So,
Thank you for mentioning that. I
that's
kind
all
of
I
agree.
I almost thought that at one point Kyle Larson had a reason to just not race, right? You got having 3 members of his pit crew suspended last week, 2 for the tire that popped off, and then 1 for wearing a non-approved apron, his gas man in the Xfinity race. And then they made an unapproved adjustment to the roof rails at Talladega as they were pushing the car out to the grid. So the car chief for the number 5 also got ejected. At one point, Kyle Larson had tweeted a picture of back in 2001. This guy Morgan Shepherd got out of his truck during the race and changed his own tire. And Larson had said, "This is going to be me." Me today, since half of our team is kicked out, is exactly what he had tweeted out with a picture of a guy hopping out of his own car to change his tire. So, I mean, the odds were stacked up against Kyle Larson. So,
Yeah.
and, obviously he didn't have a very good race. It was almost impossible for him to. One of the scariest things that I had seen, because we're so used to guys popping the net down after these horrific crashes and basically walking away unscathed. Hans device, whatever the technology in the helmet, the safer barriers. For the most part, we've seen like Blaney get shook up. We saw Gregson get shook up last year. But for the most part, a lot of these guys walk away basically unscathed. Eric Jones on the radio sounded like somebody that broke his fucking back. Yeah. Like he was like, my back, and like one of those things. And I know that Quiggs doesn't like this guy at all. But I like Eric Jones. And
don't act like I want him to get hurt.
So there was some sort of bad juju involved with Quiggs. But man, I thought that was fucking terrible. But what do you guys think about this ending then? Because I put McDowell started on the pole. He led the most laps at Talladega. I think he led like 36 laps, but he threw one block too many, right? And is it one of those things where coming into the race, he's in the mid-20s as far as the point standing? Like he knows that he's going to have to seize the moment whenever he sees the opportunity to get a win, more so than maybe other people who are comfortably in there with wins or comfortably in there in points. Did he make a absolutely huge fucking mistake? We know that's a mistake in retrospect, or is that a racing move that he had to make?
I think he made an essential move.
Yeah.
And I think Michael McDowell himself and his track record is all you need to look at to prove that. I mean, look at the Daytona 500 that he won. His car was beat to shit, and he still somehow found that thing in victory lane. So if there's a guy that knows what to do at super speedways, I think it's him, especially it's kind of an outside long shot, like you say, Large, running 20th. Not really one of the top guys that was expected to be up there. I mean, you have like Brad. He was one of the favorites, so him running up there was kind of expected. McDowell, like I said, despite him winning the Daytona 500 and having success at plate tracks, was still kind of long odds, even late in that race. Maybe the odds makers knew that he was going to be, sacrificed, but that's just kind of what it is. At plate tracks, you have to make that block that he did, and aggressive blocking. I saw people like back to the Bree and Grace, they were like, why the hell was he driving all over? He's trying to stay in front of the car. So I feel like that's what you got to do in that situation. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but it has in the past. So yeah. McDowell knows what he's doing.
Because Reddick wasn't going to pass him on that outside lane. And I'm pretty sure Brad had Noah on it. Two Fords were linked up. Mm-hmm. He was going to get past him. And the block was close. Like it
wasn't an egregious block.
He was a foot or two away from being clear there.
I'd say less.
Yeah, probably less. And yeah, I think you have to throw it, but it just didn't work.
But yeah, I know you have to. Yeah, I know you say you have to throw it, but then to go from, first place, and instead of knowing that this guy probably has you, and yeah, he probably did get him by less than a foot, but you got to finish the race though too, right? Sure. Like I think that I don't know. I know that winning at Talladega and all that has a certain degree of gravitas to it that other tracks don't have, and particularly where he wants to be in the playoffs, he needs to get that win. But holy shit! And in the replay, seeing how Tyler Reddick had maneuvered around McDowell as he was then when he lost it and started to go up the track, Tyler Reddick, that was inches where he was able to sneak by, and then NASCAR not going into caution, so Tyler being able to make it to checkered. Also had some people's hair up in the back because they wanted to restart perhaps with Tyler and Brad K. So I don't know. I mean, it was a very, very exciting ending. Again, no complaints. We were going absolutely bananas. But
I'm curious to know if it were a drag race between Tyler Reddick and Brad K at the end. If Brad K didn't have all the contact or the on the hood. Like, if it were just those two cars gunning it for the line, I thought we were going to get another potential photo finish.
I think Brad would have won that.
Yeah.
Because Tyler had no help.
Yeah, I think
all his help was gone. And
I think you're absolutely right.
Brad
had the help, but he
he
also got slowed by the contact, which gave Reddick the small gap to win, which he did, which was exciting as hell.
Yeah.
This is a personal problem I had. I don't think you guys have it. I didn't like the 45 scheme this week. I had said it last week's show, and when we were up looking at it from up in the box, that Jumpman looked just like a Mercedes symbol. And I went around to a bunch of people in the box, obviously the kids from Alabama, including Jalen Milroe, Like I had asked them, they're like, "Holy shit, that's what we thought it was at first," because they didn't even know what they were looking at. So I think that's a fuck up, or maybe it's somebody who thinks that they're more popular than they are, right? Fuck Michael Jordan. The Jumpman is not as recognizable as the Mercedes, whatever the fuck that is, the Mercedes Star. And I don't know. I think it's a fatal mistake to think that people who are watching you, not from close up where they can see the different, articulation of the hand onto the ball and the head and all that stuff, when everyone's watching this on TV from far away, to think that you're more popular or more recognizable than a 97-year-old auto manufacturer was a mistake. Do you agree or no? Is the Mercedes symbol more recognizable than the Jumpman signal? That's what I'm asking you guys.
I think Mercedes is more recognizable, but I don't. It's not like fuck Jordan for doing this. You know what I mean? I think they just kind of.
They just shouldn't have put the circle around it.
Yeah, I think they didn't really realize what it was.
With no circle.
They're both like two kind of high class luxury brands, if you will, though. So I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it. I like the Jordan cars. Do more Jordan stuff. This one, I think it could have been better, but it's not. Yeah.
I didn't like the white either. I don't know. Like we saw BJ McLeod right before the race had started. No, we saw BJ on Saturday. What were you seeing, Spider?
Who was a race leader for a little while.
On Saturday at the Xfinity race, yeah. Yeah, when everyone was babying the throttle, BJ just ran right up there. I loved it.
I don't blame him. He's like, I'm here. I'm going to lead it. This is the only time my car could compete is when people are running at 60%.
Yeah.
I respect it.
And it's crazy because he's a NASCAR Cup Series driver. Obviously, he's an owner and part-time driver in the Cup Series. He looks like a dude that you'd just be sitting next to ringside at an octagon. You know what I mean? Like he's an ass-kicking looking fucking guy. I love BJ McLeod. I only wish good things for him.
Does
he, go ahead.
He runs a lot of races unsponsored, and maybe all of them. I don't know. But he has a ton of races where he has no sponsor. Does he just not try to get sponsors? I know he's not one of the higher levels that people would really want to sponsor, but everybody else gets sponsors.
We should try to get him on the show.
We should
get to the bottom of
He's a guy that I would like to know about, but it's almost like he just doesn't try to get sponsors.
I do know he sold the charter last year, so he has fuck you money now. So
yeah,
he might not even have to try. He's so rich.
Yeah. He's probably like, I don't want to deal with all this
Yeah.
sales shit. I just want to drive the car. Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah, we should get him on. I mean, obviously, we can't wait for him to win a race, but yeah, we should definitely get him on.
Very interesting guy. And one of the nicest. I mean, the nicest. Like you said, Large, he doesn't, not to judge a book by his cover, but he's kind of intimidating looking dude, and then you speak to him and he's just a sweetheart. So
before I go on to Alvin Kamara, I gotta mention this too. We're at a track like Talladega, showing people around and all that stuff. So many people came up to us again. Quick, I'm telling, like Spider and I got to see this intimately. So somebody's listening to this fucking podcast, and it's real nice. Like the guy's like, "Oh, I was just listening to this on the way down." A couple of people like, "Oh, I just was listening to the Mark Martin thing on the way." So I don't know. And other people like, "I didn't want to come over to say hello." Don't feel that fucking way.
Yeah.
Personally, it makes my day, and I know that it makes Spider's day too. And especially NASCAR gave us these jackets. Moonhead, did you get to see us in the jackets? You did,
I saw
right?
pictures. I didn't get to see them in person.
Because we didn't get them till Sunday. But man, I felt sexy as fuck.
Yeah.
They look sick.
Yeah, so it was really cool. It was a great weekend. I know some people maybe want to go to a different race if they don't want that full experience. Like this is the most southern you'll ever feel when you're at Talladega. But at some point, get down there. The people are just different, and by different I mean better. And the racing's pretty cool as we had seen, and the whole experience is fucking A+, including getting to meet Alvin Kamara. So, as I said at the beginning of the show, Spider and I were lucky to sit down with a guy who I think is pretty good at football. So we're going to go 3 wide with Alvin Kamara. All right, so as promised, we're down in Talladega inside our RV with Alvin Kamara. What we like is when people bring gifts, and what we like is when people bring their resumes. He did both. So we got these fire sweatshirts, and I can tell you on the back, 6 rushing touchdowns in a single game, tied a record, I believe. 500 first ever rushing and receiving yards in first 4 season. 2017 Offensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time All-Pro second team, 5-time Pro Bowl. and a huge goddamn NASCAR fan. It's Alvin. Alvin, thank you so much for coming on to
Man.
Rubbin Racing. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, man. Appreciate y'all having me.
So we meet a lot of celebrities. Like Spider and I have spoke to people before who say they're NASCAR fans, and they're not.
Mhm.
It's kind of bullshit. There's one guy in particular whose name I'm not going to do. Was a musician. Remember? He was absolutely terrible.
We're gonna leave him out.
Yeah, you're going to leave his ass out. But you're a real deal NASCAR fan.
Mhm.
It seems like you fell in love with the sport. Let me know who your favorite driver of all time is, who your favorite driver right now is. It could be the same person, I don't know. And just give me an idea of why you like him so we get a feel of what you are as far as a fan.
All right, so I'll go. I would do the same one, but I'm gonna go back and I think this is like and I told somebody this before. I told somebody this at Daytona, I think, and it's easy to go, Dale and Jeff, but Jeff for me is my favorite driver of all time because the way he revolutionized the sport, like just the branding, the way the talent that he had.
Right.
I think he left a mark on NASCAR as a whole, and I think forever you'll be able to say Jeff Gordon and people will recognize that, right?
Some of the best paint schemes.
Yeah,
ever.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So-
tightest paint schemes. One of the things that you didn't put on the resume and the sweatshirt, though, you have an official title within NASCAR, right?
Yeah,
What is that title?
Growth and Engagement Advisor.
That is a fucking vague but wonderful title.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So what does that
I had to
entail?
look it up. I
And what
literally
you-
was looking it up.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't
So-
fit on a name.
Yeah, I
card.
know, man.
Yeah, so
So-
what does that entail? What do you do for the sport?
So, man, literally blessed to be able to have that position. Growth and Engagement Advisor, kind of, like you said, it's kind of vague, but, you got to break it down. So, basically, my job, along with my team, Erica standing, lovely, looking lovely behind the camera, but we basically find a way to engage different demographics, right? Minority demographics that are maybe interested in the sport, but don't really have that much information on it, don't really feel like they have the access to it, don't really understand it. We find ways to engage that. So whether it's Bubba's Block Party, whether it's Daniel's Amigos, whether it's, Speed Season, some of the things we're doing to activate in certain markets and trying to, just get that attention and get that crowd to say, hey, let's come to a race, come and learn, come and experience, because, racing, even with me, before I knew anything about it, I didn't know anything about it.
How long ago was this?
This was 2020.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you tell us, I guess, how you first got into NASCAR to begin with?
Man, at first, I was literally just sitting at home in Miami during the pandemic, and it was a race on. There was a race on. So I'm like, I'm not doing nothing. Like, you can't go nowhere. All I'm doing is sitting in the house for the most part. So I turned the race on, and I'm actually sitting there for the first time and, like, listening to the actual broadcast instead of just watching people go in circles as everybody's saying, right?
Making
So, I'm listening to, there's so much strategy going on, and there's, I'm listening to, like, pitch strategy. I'm listening to, the drivers' radios come up, and I'm like, man, it's way more intricate than what I thought.
Right.
So I'm like, man, that's interesting. So I just, just do the basic, like, kind of tweet and say, oh, man, this NASCAR stuff is cool, like, and then there was, a lot going on at the time with, the social injustice things and stuff like that. So I tweeted NASCAR and I'm like, oh man, this is super dope. Like, man, I'm gonna be a race fan. Like, just out of nowhere, just saying it kind of.
Yeah.
But I was really watching and really interested. So, I got some correspondence back and they're like, oh, thanks, Alvin. Can we send you some merch? And I'm like, cool, I'll send some merch. And then a step further than that, I end up seeing, I hit back and I'm like, man, I want to come to a race.
Yeah.
It's the pandemic. Everything's shut down, but I'm like, let me just try my luck.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, you know what? Homestead is this
Miami
coming
Homestead.
week.
Okay,
Miami
yeah.
Homestead is this coming week. We'll see what we can do. So I'm like, dang, that's perfect. So they hit me back and they're like, all right, well, there was 2,000 veterans going to the race, sitting in the stands. And they're like, okay, we'll just put you in the suite off by yourself because obviously COVID restrictions. So I end up going to the race and I'm in the suite by myself. And then, I'm just sitting there watching the race, not really knowing what's going on, still trying to follow, understand. And white guy in the suit comes in and sits in there. He's like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm Alvin. And we just sitting there talking for, about an hour, like just talking back and forth. He's kind of explaining stuff to me. He doesn't tell me his name at first. I'm just watching.
Denny Hamlin?
No.
No, I'm watching the race. I'm watching the race.
Maybe.
And then, so at the end, he's like, well, not even at the end. He's like, oh, well, I'm about to get out of here. And by the way, I'm Steve Phelps. I'm the president of NASCAR.
There you go.
I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? So, that just took me for a loop. So I'm like, man, it's not many times I ask somebody for a picture. I'm like, I got to get a picture with you. So we get a picture. And then we kind of stay in contact. And then the rest is history.
That's awesome.
Man, it's been super crazy, super fun. just honored to be able to be a part of the NASCAR team.
So out of all the places, I know Miami and now Talladega, what other tracks have you been to? Which have stuck out to you? And is there any on your bucket list that you kind of need to get to?
Man, I've been to a lot. I've been to, obviously, Chicago, LA street race. I've been to Sonoma.
Yeah.
Been to Nashville, Atlanta, Charlotte. Bristol.
Any that you feel like you need to get to? Any on the bucket list or any that you are missing?
You know what?
I have a recommendation. So you go, but I have a recommendation for one that I don't think you hit. But go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I haven't been to Vegas, and I heard Vegas is a little tricky and cool.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't been to Texas.
Okay.
Where else? What's a good one? I haven't been here. Obviously, you know, I went to school at Alabama.
Yes,
first.
absolutely.
I haven't been here, so this is my first time here, so I'm enjoying the experience.
Yeah, what's that experience?
Yeah, man, it's cool. I literally, and I Erica made it happen. I actually had a chance to land at a track for once. I just landed.
It's nice
at the track.
That's
yeah,
nice.
man, it's luxurious.
Coming in, did you see the cars?
Yes,
on the track?
I saw the cars.
Yeah.
I was like, Erica, wow, you really outdid yourself with this one.
That's the cool.
She really outdid herself.
One of the ones that I recommend, and I don't think it's on people's radar, but Spider and I got to be Grand Marshals at an Xfinity race last year, the Cabo Wabo 250, and we were in Michigan. At Indian Hills in Michigan. Michigan is sneaky awesome. Cool. So I almost consider it like a mini Talladega. The infield is wild.
Yeah.
Everyone goes banana. It's not as big as this, obviously. Nothing is as big as this. But it's one of those things that I highly recommend.
No doubt.
What do you think about, like, what drew you to the sport? I think, so we're relatively new to the sport also. And one of the things that didn't draw us in, but now that we're into it, it's got the hooks in us, is just how great the people are.
Yeah.
Like, even dealing with some of the drivers, because, you know, Spider comes in contact with just about every celebrity that comes through our Chicago office, whether they be in entertainment or in the world of sports. I sort of have that niche with boxers.
Yeah, okay.
And some of the boxers that I deal with, like I just did some time with Ryan Garcia, my fucking head is spinning. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you get with these people, they're just good people. For a perfect example, Spider and I were in Phoenix, and a young kid got up. His name was Ryan Vargas, and I know that you worked with him before. And I was in tears when he started to talk about his charity.
Yeah.
And every one of these drivers have equally as noble charities attached to them. Honest to God, I'm having a great time just dealing with just about all the crowd, the drivers, the owners, Steve Phelps. Don't you see that's a little bit different from any other sport? And I know that you're probably good at everything you ever fucking put your hands on. Do you think it's different than other sports, or are we being too Pollyanna?
No. I tell people all the time, like, the NASCAR community from top to bottom, from the executives to the fans at the races, like, it's an experience. You know, it's some of the best people you'll come across. And like you said, even the drivers, like, some of their stories are captivating. I mean, the fans, they really care about this stuff. Like, they really want to be here. They really come and support these people out here 4 days prior, 5 days. Like,
their whole wardrobe, is like, built around one driver.
They're
you know what I mean?
Together. Like, these people support like no other. And then, you know, me, obviously working in the offices, like, I met some of the best people. Like, I'm co-worker wise, like, some of the best people I've worked with in my career in anything, in any sport. You know, so. Man, it's just it's dope to be a part of, and it's dope to see, and it's what our job is in growth and engagement is to hopefully develop the sport and help it reach new heights, right? Help it reach new places. So just being a part of that and seeing it evolve and grow has been cool. Just in my past, in my short 4 years.
Right.
So if Steve Phelps, if you were back in the suite, like we were speaking for another hour again, and he's going up to you and say, Alvin, I'll let you do whatever. Like, you got a blank check for growth and engagement. You could do whatever the hell you want. Let's get NASCAR. Let's fill up a track. What are you like? What are you coming up with?
Man,
you have any ideas? I know that's a pretty vague question.
So we at Talladega right now, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'll start here. We'll have every track, but we'll start here since we here.
Yeah.
Whole infield party, the whole race, right?
Yeah.
Like a real party, like. real,
Bottle service,
everything.
nightclub vibe,
yeah, like golf carts with bottles running around, beer, anything you want. Big party, concert going on during the race, like everything. I'm talking about big experiential, right? Because I mean, those are some of the hooks that we're trying to do to bring people to these races to, you know, just engage with each other, engage with, you know, the information, like as far as the racers and the things that are going on the track, the little intricacies and stuff, just pushing that narrative, like, you know, so people understand. And then, you know, obviously you got to have an experience for people to come. So, man, it's already a party, but, you know, just beefing it up.
Yeah,
super beefing it up. Yeah.
So, in case people don't know, you're a pretty good athlete. And you're around, so an elite athlete, generational athlete, I should say. So how do you feel about, like Denny had made a comment the other day about how he could hit a three-pointer. He might be able to hit a fastball.
Yeah.
He might be able to, you know, get a hole-in-one, do all this kind of stuff. But he knows for a fact that some of the finest athletes in the world would not be able to be up against the wall going 190 miles an hour and stuff. So how do you feel about, listen, you're the expert on this because you're the end-all, be-all athlete as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the age-old question where they say a golfer's athletes, a dart player's athletes? How do you feel about NASCAR drivers being athletes?
Man, I actually have dove into this a lot, and I've been in the car with Denny.
Okay.
So there's
terrifying.
I wouldn't say I was terrified, but I was baffled at how he can do that. Right. So my answer, man, they're athletes, and I wouldn't even try to. Although I do want to drive a car, I wouldn't even try to do it at that level because I don't think that's a skill. Like, this is specialized, and there's nothing. It's not anything short of amazing that you can go around this track 200, whatever, how many times, and do it with that amount of precision and that amount of focus and concentration for that long, and then somebody tell you you're not an athlete. It's crazy.
Is there anything you've seen in NASCAR that's like, shit, maybe I can apply that to football? I know, obviously, vastly different sports.
Go fast.
Like maybe even like the
go fast.
Go fast.
Yeah, no brakes.
I like that.
All gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
Nah, but I mean, it's just focus. Like with any sport, there's focus. But I think being out here and, you know, my reactions on the field are a little bit different because I think the consequence is a little bit less. Right. The slightest lapse in reaction or lapse in focus out here, shit, it can cost you.
You're hitting the wall, going 180 miles an hour.
You hitting the wall. You hitting another driver. You know, you got potential to really be in danger. So these guys being able to lock in and focus and be in tune the whole race. I mean, from start to finish, y'all sat and watched the whole race. Like, it's crazy. Like, and I applaud those dudes.
Is there anybody that you deal with in the NFL that you think? And listen, most of the NFL is automatically taken out of the equation because they're too fucking big to get into a car.
Yeah.
But is there anybody in the NFL who you think has that temperament to perhaps be able to do 600 miles in Charlotte in the heat up against the wall? Or conversely, is there anybody that you've run into since you've met your fair amount of drivers and people that you think would transfer better into other, you know, arenas? So they're really good athletes that people would be surprised about? Because I'm sure people come up to you all the time and be like, I beat you in a race. And then they don't. But you know what I'm saying? But is there somebody where you're like, I think Kyle Larson would make a great wide receiver. He wouldn't. But is there anybody in there on the NFL side or on the NASCAR side?
NFL side, it's funny that you asked that because I never thought about that. But since we're talking about like temperament and focus, I think Devontae Smith, receiver, Eagles.
Okay.
Like the type of focus, like he's the same. He's even all throughout the game. You know what I'm saying? I think he would probably be a good.
You
good
think
driver.
if you took him down to a race, you can get him to fall in love with it?
Yeah.
That leads me to my next question. Out of all the people, like, we're lucky we go to the races and we meet a lot of cool people, yourself included. Any given race we go to, it's someone different.
Yeah.
Is there, like, someone that you've enjoyed meeting or, like, a favorite guest that you've run into at the track, whether it be someone you invited or someone you met there spontaneously?
Man, I met so many people.
Yeah.
And so many cool people, too. Like,
Did you meet Jordan?
Yeah.
Okay, no big deal. He doesn't answer my fucking calls.
What did I call him? Kicked it with Mike. I mean, that's obvious. I don't want. That's obvious. Man, I gotta think. We can edit.
All right, so while you think of that one, a lot of former athletes like Brad Daugherty and MJ now own race teams.
Yeah.
Is that something that one day maybe you would consider? Do I got to talk to Steve Phelps about giving you a bigger contract to make that happen, or what
man, it's like even with MJ, obviously with me being an athlete and then Daugherty, seeing those guys transition from being athletes to being a part of the sport, just dealing with it and engaging with it, and then becoming owners. I mean, it's something that is interesting to me. Obviously, it could be in my card.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Maybe Chuck Series.
Yeah, maybe start. Yeah,
options.
you gotta start somewhere. So maybe soon I might be getting into that side.
Well, it's always very interesting to me to see athletes that have made their name in other sports. Yourself, MJ, Brad, and then also show their love for NASCAR.
I came up with.
Oh yeah.
What's the old boy from Fast and Furious?
Paul Walker?
No,
that's
Paul
dead
Walker
one.
dead.
Oh Jesus, right? It's Vin Diesel.
Fuck no, Erica. What's old boy from?
I forgot.
The Asian dude.
Oh yeah, the Asian dude.
I forgot his name. We can edit, but
yeah. Now, what do you think? What about him?
I watched Fast and the Furious.
Oh shit! And you met him at a track. He was starstruck by a guy. I thought you meant he was good behind the wheel.
Let me ask you this:
Sun Kang. That sounds like a damn Mortal Kombat character. No, I met Sun Kang, and I was just staring at him, so I felt like I felt weird. I was like, damn, that's her boy from Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
But it was just cool because even though that's not him for real, as far as like the character that he plays in Fast and Furious, it's just cool that they tied it together. Like he's who he is in the movie, and then they brought him to track, and it was just, I don't know, it was cool. It was like kind of like a full circle car moment.
Can you agree though that like in certain sports, I sometimes like watching football better at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless I have perfect seats.
Yeah.
I think some boxing matches, like ringside, is terrible. Being up on that little second level where you can see in is a lot better unless you're just there for the vibe.
Yeah.
I can only watch hockey live, conversely. I can't watch hockey on TV. I like going to live hockey games. NASCAR, I'm at a point now where I can watch any race. I can sit down and watch any race. But it took me a while to get there. Do you agree that people probably won't ever get to fall in love with it the way they should until they come and physically get their asses to just about any race?
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think you got to come, like you have to come and experience it on ground in real time, because that's the only way you'll understand like the gravity of what's going on.
Right.
On TV, I mean, you get the broadcast and you obviously see the race, and I can't lie, on TV, like unless you really tuned in listening, it looks like just circles, right?
Yes.
But when you come and you come to the race, you come to pre-race, you see everything that's going on. You see driver meetings, you see engine start, you see like what's going on in the infield. Like you just walk around and you feel the energy. It's like it's different, like super super different. So you got to be here.
Can I follow up with that real quick, if that's
Mark.
okay? Doesn't it though blow your mind as an athlete that we see these guys, like we were at the drivers' meeting in Martinsville, and we're kind of shooting the shit with, like, maybe Josh Williams or something afterwards, or Noah, and then he was like, I gotta go, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, you gotta get in the car in 5 minutes.
Man.
No one ever gets that type of, and it's not just us. I mean, we got the greatest access here with NASCAR, all praise NASCAR, I get it. But it just seems like the way the fans can get up on these professional athletes, I don't think it's rivaled anywhere in the sporting world. You can't get that access.
Like I obviously got a lot of access too, right? So I go to drivers meetings, I go in the haulers and talk to the dudes. But
well, he's flexing now.
You know what I'm
you
saying?
Gotta make us feel bad because there's a couple of fucking sweatshirts. I'm hard carded too. Holy shit!
But look, so I always tell them like, it's like, okay, well, let's go to the hauler and talk to Bubba or Denny, and I'll just, I go and I bump shoulders with them. I'm like, hey, you got a race. I'll holler at you after the race. Because I know, as being an athlete, I just know in my head, I'm like, this is like me getting ready for a game. Like, I'm in a different zone. Like, I'm not even...
Legitimately,
I'm not even Alvin at that point. It's like, I'm like seeing through you. But they're like, hey, what's up? Or they got to go shake hands, and then 10 minutes later, they got to get in the car.
Literally 10 minutes.
Yeah, so I always tell them, like, even in the driver's meeting when we're in there, I'm like, man, I don't know how y'all do it. Like, come in this driver's meeting, it's like, all this is over, all that, for me, in the NFL, is over, like, Friday, basically.
Right.
All the way, and then Sunday, shoot, I can pick to talk to people during pregame warm-ups, or I can not talk to anybody at all. And most of the time, unless my family is there or like somebody that I know, I don't talk to anybody. Like pregame, I warm up. I don't talk to anybody on the side. Not because I just don't want to talk to people, but because like I'm getting ready for battle. So that's how I think when I'm looking at them. I'm like, man, y'all getting ready for battle, and they just, hey, what's up? They're in driver meeting, shaking hands, doing it. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know. I'll be an asshole.
Yeah.
Back to the initiatives you do with the engagement and growth with NASCAR, but you mentioned Daniel Suarez and Bubba Wallace. Are we going to see another Bubba Wallace block party this year ahead of the Chicago Street Race?
Yeah, we're gonna see. We definitely gonna see one in Chicago.
And I guess what was your take about the Chicago Street Race?
July.
Yeah.
Oh, you said the Chicago Street Race?
Yeah. What was your opinion of it this past year?
Man, it was super dope. Man, it was super dope. I love that we were able to break into that market and do something special and different, for NASCAR. Just like I said, just get reach a different demographic and catch the attention of some people that might not have been paying attention before,
sure.
right? Obviously we got some bad weather. We don't talk about weather, but I think this year should be good. Another opportunity to again engage some different fans and just put on a dope event.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So where else can we go? So Netflix special, I think, was very beneficial.
Yeah.
A little different than what it was with Formula One, because that was 5 years ago, and you didn't have as many streaming options.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what I own anymore, if it's on Hulu or Peacock. You know what I'm
I
saying?
can take my brother's subscription.
Yeah, it's a little bit diluted.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also going to these things, it seems like people are done with the LA Coliseum. They we've run it there a couple of times, and now they want to branch out. We've had our opinions on where we want them to go.
Where y'all going?
I want them to, like that scene from Sicario when they're going across the Mexican border to go battle the cartels. I want all 38 cars to blast through fucking customs going to Estadio Olimpico somewhere, and I don't even know where we're going, Juarez, I don't care, and then we run there.
Yeah.
I jump at the idea that they were supposed to do it in Canada. We're supposed to go up to Montreal, and now instead they went to Iowa. Great place to be. But as a guy who's visited a lot of cities, as an athlete, as a celebrity, as a rich guy, what's a city that you wouldn't mind seeing NASCAR get to realistically?
Yeah, you know what? I mean? You know what's crazy? Like you said, realistically, I'm in New Orleans, and apparently there's a huge race scene in New Orleans, right?
There's a big initiative to get a race there.
Yeah, so I mean that's all I ever hear about. Like, Alvin, get racing back to New Orleans. There's so many fans. And I mean, New Orleans is sandwiched. Like, you got Atlanta, you got you got Texas and Vegas and all that, and they're like, man, we're missing racing here. So, that's probably one place, obviously, because I'm in that market. That's a place that I could see it being a big thing. So
yeah, that's
that would be sweet. Maybe you'd be the grand marshal.
Yeah,
of
something
the,
like that.
Of the race. And,
we'd probably be free too, right? If he's busy. Being the Minister of Quan, we can go and do the fucking thing. I'll do my damn thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of it, like if you could pick the race, but let's say you had it ideally, and not only you could pick where the race is, but the musical act pre-race. So I think we got Walker Hayes tonight at Talladega. I don't know how you feel about him, or if you're a country fan at all. But if Alvin were to plan the race, who would the musical act be?
We're planning it here.
Wherever you pick the track and the musical.
Can I give a little background on that?
Yeah.
Because last week we had NASCAR legend Mark Martin on the show.
Yep.
And Spider and I were doing and all of a sudden Spider and I were doing it from New York and Chicago. So Spider's clip of asking about Gucci Mane, and this guy, a 65-year-old guy,
he was serious.
He went deep into the library, and that thing went viral.
Yeah.
I mean, Spider's on World Star in a good way, right? Like not getting beat up outside
World
of fucking.
Star.
Yeah,
that's real. I saw that because that's the Atlanta connection, and I know Gucci actually, so I was like, damn.
You retweeted it, the whole deal, and it really was. And a lot of people who know Mark Martin or who are more historians of the sport knew that he had a love for that music, particularly Gucci, but. Music's become such an integral part of the sport. Like who do we see so far, Spider?
We saw Cole Swindell here last year. Luke Combs,
Cypress Hill.
It's dope to get that engagement.
Pitbull, that DJ.
Chainsmokers, Diplo. Like there's
you know who would be super dope? That's like I've personally been to their concert and they perform like no other, and I feel like the energy would match. T-Pain.
Oh
yeah.
T-Pain would be a great.
I
don't mean to say, but we've been talking. You've met Mamba? You know
Yeah,
Mamba?
yeah.
So Mamba and I
Mamba and us rather are close friends, and so he has a guy who's a protege at T-Pain, and he was wondering if we could have him maybe do something at the Chicago race because that would bring down the house too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a good one.
Nah,
Yeah,
T-Pain
that's a
would be
great
super
answer.
Or should we get Gucci?
Maybe both.
Right?
I-
What
I-
about in the
I-
fall?
I-
We have
I-
Mark Martin up on stage with him, kind of shaking.
Wow,
his head.
come on.
Yeah.
They calling
Do
for
it.
you, NASCAR.
Yeah, open invite.
Yeah.
So break down what you're going to be doing to watch this race tomorrow. Like, God willing, the rain gets out of here early and we get this race off at a decent hour. What's race day like for a guy like you? Like, what's your responsibilities? Where do you? We personally like to start on the pits and end in the suite.
Yeah.
You know, living it
Yeah,
up a little bit,
yeah,
right?
that's-
With
yeah,
the
that's
men's
kinda-
room up there and stuff. You know, like
Yeah.
gentlemen. But how do you feel? What do you think it's going to be like for you tomorrow?
Man, that's kind of my vibe, and usually when I go to a track that I haven't been to, I try to get the energy. So definitely start down in the pit. Engine starts, couple laps, get the tires sticky, and then probably I'll probably walk around the infield a little bit. Maybe prior to even to driver starts, engine starts. Probably go in the garage. Maybe host if there's some people. There will be some influencers, some celebrities, whoever's here. Give them some like garage tours. Give them a little knowledge. Boys and Girls Club, always engage with them with growth and engagement, like we said. So then, like I said, engine starts, couple laps, probably till they pit the first time. Then kind of just move around. I like the freestyle. I don't like to have too much of a plan.
Yeah.
But like you said, plus you got to end up in the suite.
You got it.
you gotta
Yeah,
end
I
up
mean,
in the
it's
suite.
ultimately
sweet life.
come
Yeah,
back
you
down
got to.
afterwards, like to celebrate and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I think every now and again, having that TV in front of you too.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And if it's a lot of action though, we might come back down. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
depending on where it's at. You
When
know?
I'm back down.
Yeah.
Short tracks versus super speedways.
Man,
What do you think?
short track action is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like short track. Like Bristol, I love Bristol.
I like that answer. I thought for sure you were going to
too.
say. I
like-
feel like as a running back, like super speedway racing, a lot of times is like trying to see the whole. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So I
yeah.
appreciate you saying something other than that.
Yeah, I like this short track action.
Yeah,
And then it's-
Bristol's dope.
Yeah, Bristol's super dope. Bristol night race.
Yeah.
Bristol night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bristol Dirt too is one of those things. So, horsepower, tire fall off, all that kind of stuff. How do you feel about NASCAR's position to take so much criticism week in and week out? Like when they all of a sudden, when the NFL decided to really crack down on targeting,
Oh, yeah.
there was a huge backlash from old school NFL fans who were like, "Nah, just let everyone rip their fucking heads off.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter." So, but it seems like that's few and far between for your sport,
Yeah.
for the NFL. NASCAR, it's something different every week that people have real opinions on, that they think they can move the needle in. How difficult do you think it is for NASCAR to operate in that kind of environment?
Man, honestly, whenever a move or a move like that is made or a change, I think what fans have to understand is that these are people that this is their job to try to create an experience for not only the racer but for the fan, right? Trying to create the best environment for competition, for fun for the fans, just integrity of the sport, all that, all in one. So I don't those decisions aren't just made just one day waking up and like, oh, we're gonna change the style of the car, or we're gonna change the boat when you come in the pit, or like these are real decisions that are being made. So I mean, you know, as a fan, sometimes you get comfortable and you don't want change. You're not used to change, and change sometimes sucks. But you know, like we've been talking about this whole time, it's about evolving the sport, right? And coming up with the best ways to, one, keep the environment competitive, but also make sure that, you know, there's safety involved, there's you know, evolution involved in the sport. So I mean, sometimes it is what it is. You just gotta bite down and come along for the ride. But you know, I think NASCAR at the top of the top has everybody's best interest in mind. I don't think they wake up wanting to piss people off. It's
Right.
just, you know, we're trying to accomplish.
But there is a conspiracy within NASCAR to get Chase Elliott to win races, right? We know that. I'm not telling.
That's what they
everybody
say. That
Right?
Chase a Georgia guy, man. I gotta rock with my Georgia
How
guy.
about this?
I gotta
Steve
debunk.
Phelps has a button under his
I gotta
desk
debunk
that brings
the-
out cautions.
Yeah, I
That
gotta
way Chase-
debunk it. I gotta debunk
Who
the
do you
Chase.
think's more critical, like NASCAR fans or NFL fans? Who complains more?
You know what?
Because I know, I mean, granted, I'm not an NFL player, but I think I know which side I'm on.
I mean, I think NFL fans complain a lot.
Yeah.
I think NFL fans complain
Yeah.
a lot. NASCAR fans, because there's NASCAR fantasy.
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So
I think it's NASCAR fans only because there's just so many variables. Like football, is pretty black and white. In
yeah,
terms
so
of
that's
like,
that's what I was about to say. Like, there's NASCAR fantasy. So if there wasn't NASCAR fantasy, then I would give it to football fans. But since there's NASCAR fantasy, and like you said with your conspiracy with the button and all that,
It's not a conspiracy when it's true.
I've heard some of the craziest stuff and read some of the craziest stuff at some of these races, and I'm like, dang. I'm like, what I could deal with somebody yelling and talking about give Stephon Diggs or give such and such the ball, or you guys are trying to ruin my NASCAR. They're like, man, well they're cheating because the tires are their tires got more air. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw somebody tweet something about some fuel, like, well, they have better fuel. Their fuel is mixed better. I said, nah, there's no way.
You got anything else?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
So like, if you were actually driving a car, would it be Ford, Chevy, Toyota? What number car is it? And ideal sponsor on the side of it.
Oh, that's a good one, Spider.
Dang. Okay, you said what type of car?
Yep. Ford, Chevy, or Toyota?
I'm going Toyota.
Okay.
I'm going Team Toyota. All right.
I
Then
like
what was
that.
it? What's the next one?
What number?
What number?
Yeah.
I got to go 6 or 41. 6 was my college number, 41 right now, so either one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a brand to represent you on the outside
A
of it.
brand to represent
I guess
me.
this one is just like,
I'm
hey,
going-
Alvin Kamara, give a free ad of one of your favorite products.
Okay.
But I don't need...
It's Alvin Kamara, driver of the number 41 / the number 6 car. And drink your water. Zen water, baby. Let's go.
There
Wow.
you go.
How wild is that Brad K hangs it up in like 2 years, and the new driver of the number 6 car is Alvin Kamara.
The Zen 6. The Zen 6.
We're going to let you out of here, but not without a... so, since this is going to air after the race, we're going to give you an opportunity to make a fool out of yourself and give us a guaranteed top 5 driver.
Oh, man.
Guaranteed to finish in the top 5. Stone Cold Lock. This isn't to bet. This isn't for anything, but this is Alvin Kamara saying, hey, listen, it could be as chalky, as favorite as you want. This guy's definitely finishing in the top 5 in a wild super speedway plate track.
Danny Chase.
Give me one.
Wait. What?
You just guaranteeing me one guy.
That's going to finish in top 5?
Yeah, and when they spin out 20 into it, you're going to look like a fucking idiot on this thing. So that's what I'm going to try to do this for. So I'm not better than you at anything.
All right. That's going to finish top 5?
Yeah.
Chase,
okay, we'll get
because we can just push the button, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
We can push the
Let him
button.
finish.
Just
Put it
tell
right back to
Steve.
me.
Yeah,
He'll probably be in the suite with him anyway.
I'll be sitting next to Steve, so don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll wait till the last 5 laps.
If you're ever in New York or Chicago, obviously where this Barstool office is, you are obviously open invite to come and shoot the shit with us.
No doubt.
If we're ever at a race again, love to talk to you again. You're an absolutely good human being and wonderful for this fucking sport. It was an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate
Alvin
that, Lord.
Kamara, 3
Thanks
wide
for the
with me and
swag.
Yes,
Spider.
indeed,
Let's
Spider.
get back to Rubbin' His Racing.
All right, so I wasn't expecting anything going into the Spider. Unfortunately, we sit down, like I had said, with people outside of NASCAR, and we interview them because they'd gone to a couple of races, and they really know less than we do about it. But Alvin seems like one of those guys that has a real love for the sport. NASCAR has taken him in as one of their ambassadors, and I think it's a great marriage. I hope we can have him on again. Just a great guy. What was your take from him?
Yeah, he's the best. I mean, it didn't even come from the interview, but I was asking the NASCAR caretakers after. I was like, what's good with Alvin? Like, are you guys paying him handsomely? Like, why is he doing this? And surprisingly, like, they just said that he's just super interested in the sport and what NASCAR's got going on, which I thought was one of the most surprising takeaways. I just figured it might have been like, a paid influencer kind of deal for him, and he's genuinely interested, which I like to see. And he seemed, it was refreshing to see someone like that come in. We've had guests on the show that have, I don't know.
I know. Don't blow him up. Don't blow him up. Listen, I will tell you, this guy brought gifts, right, Spider? He hooked us up
Yeah.
with
Why don't you
t-shirts
take it
and
from here,
sweatshirts.
Large?
Yeah, you're about to get, and I know the guy you're talking about. But so like we said, we were hanging out with most of the, not most of, but maybe 6 or 7 players, star players from the Alabama football team. After Alvin was done with us, he came and spent some time with these kids, and they were all like, studs. kind of too cool and all that stuff to be around. But once Kamara is out there, they know that this is the guy who made it to the show. This is the dude. You know, he's the fastest guy at He's the fastest thing at Talladega last weekend that didn't have four wheels underneath him, which is cool to fucking know. You know, and he was extremely great with these kids who probably look up to him as a role model. Then my son and his, you know, drunken buddies were just take a picture, and he was very, very, you know, he was just very gracious. So, so I honestly think that he's one of those guys that NASCAR's got themselves a unicorn on their hands. And so I hope he keeps going and bringing the sport into different like homes and whatnot and making it bigger and bigger. Yeah.
We were sitting there the second day he came by. On Saturday we interviewed him. Sunday he comes by a race day. I'm just on my phone like deep looking at something. I didn't even realize he had arrived, and he just comes up, hits me on the shoulder, daps me up. Like, he went out of his way to say hello to me. I really appreciate that. So, yeah, Alvin Kamara was great, and we really appreciate him giving us 30 minutes or so on the pod.
Who's cooler, Mark Martin or Alvin Kamara?
Shit.
We should just get him in the same room.
I think a dream blunt rotation is Alvin Kamara and Mark Martin. So maybe we can make that happen. Mark and Alvin, if you're listening.
That's a perfect answer. All right, let's get to Dover. We're heading down to Dover this weekend. We're 10 races in. We have 7 different drivers who have won. This is your points update. So we have 7 different winners. Then standing at number 8 in points right now is Truex, Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Chastain, Bubba, Briscoe, Brad, and Joey. That gets you to the 16 drivers if it was to end today, with Buescher and Kyle Busch on the outside looking in. So, I mean, it still is a pretty sensible top 16 for now, and we'll see what happens after this week. It's a mile-long concrete. They call it a self-cleaning racetrack with the way that everyone kind of sweeps down at the end of turn 2 and 4. So we're going to expect to see a lot of wrecks. A lot of problems will be on pit road. It's kind of one of those difficult pit roads. You kind of come into it off of turn 4, so you're slowing down off of turn 3. It's very slow on pit road and narrow, so expect to see a lot of those penalties. Practice and qualifying starts at 10:30 a.m. Saturday, all on FS1, including the race on Sunday. The Worth 400 from the Monster Mile starts Sunday at 2 p.m. on FS1. As far as this week's race, Jimmy Johnson is back behind the wheel at Dover. Right now, guys, is he finished in the top 20 or below the top 20?
DNF.
DNF?
Yep. His day will be done by lap 13.
I'll give him...
It's the way it's been going for him.
Yeah. But now, go ahead, Spider. Top 20 or outside top 20?
I'll say outside top 20, but he does finish.
Okay. So Eric Jones is still listed in 43 for Sunday. We talked about the wreck that he got into just a couple of minutes ago. Legacy hasn't commented on anything else other than he's at home, a little bit sore, that type of thing. But Legacy's reserve driver, which I'd be excited for, is Corey Heim. So they do have a backup. I was thinking to myself, well, maybe they could just, pop Jimmy Johnson into 43. But it looks like Corey Heim would get a shot if Eric Jones can't answer the call, right? Last season at this race in Dover, we had a Monday Martin win, and that was the weekend that Truex family had swept the weekend when his brother Ryan was winning on Saturday, and then Martin won on Monday after a rain delay. And my last 2 cents is that I think it's the worst trophy in NASCAR. It's just fucking silly. Everyone likes it but me. I think it's fucking silly. The Jumpman logo on the hood and the Dover Monster Mile trophy is fucking silly. Let's close this up by picking the tires. It's brought to you by DraftKings. Don't miss out on any of the NBA playoff action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, from the play-in tournament through the finals, from every opening tip to every buzzer beater. And if you're new to this whole sports betting thing, it's super easy to get started. Try betting on something simple like a team to win. Go to the app, select your team, place your first bet. It's just that simple. And here's something else to sweeten the deal for all the new customers. Bet $5 and you get $200 in bonus bets instantly. I almost wish that I had never seen this app so I could just sign up for that. So new customers, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code Rubbin. That's code RUBBIN, Rubbin, to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. And with that, all the lines that we use on Rubbin is Racing are obviously from DraftKings. So if anyone wants to go first, please do. Otherwise, I will jump up.
Go ahead, Large. You start us.
I'm going to take, right off the bat, I'm going to take Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain has been kind of frustrated past couple of weeks. I like him at plus 750. It's not as chalky as, Kyle Larson is chalky every week now. It's unbelievable. The guy's fucking just chalky every week. So I'm going to take Ross Chastain to win at plus 750, and I'm going to take Christopher Bell, but I'm going to take him in the top 3 at plus 275. I think there's still a little bit of value in that. He's plus 1,000 to win. I could see him at plus 275. I think he's a top 3 or a do not finish. As I'm looking through, by the way, I'm looking at the things on a laptop for the first time, and I'm kind of loving it. And that's it. Those are the only 2 ones that I'm going to have this week. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. I'm going to do the same thing I did last week, and I'm going to give you 3 outrights, 1 from each manufacturer. You guys can ride all of them. You can ride whichever you want. But I'm going to start with Martin Truex. I know he's in Large's cannot touch category, so I will add him to my card. He's currently plus 650, defending champ, and he's really good in the points. Where did you say he was in points standing right now, Large? Whatever it is, it's higher, given that he has yet to win. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to get a win this year. And on the flip side, let's move on to the Chevys, where I like Chase Elliott, who's 11-1. He won here in 2022. He has the monkey off his back. He has the win this year, and I like him. And then also in the Fords, I'm going Blaney again, 13-1. He finished here third last year. He finished here third last year. Ford's still knocking on the door for a win. Blaney would probably be the guy I would like to get it done in terms of the Fords, and 13-1 is pretty good value for defending champion. So I'm looking at it like Joe Gibbs and Hendrick have won 80% of the races this year, so that's why I have Truex at 650, Elliott at 11-1. Those are my 2 personal picks. Larson at plus 450 just is too chalky for me, so I'm going to fade that. But I like where Truex and Elliott are at value-wise, especially given the success of Gibbs and Hendrick so far this year. And then I'm adding Blaney at plus 1,300 to see maybe can the Fords finally break through and get a win. Quiggs, what do you got?
I'm going one chalk, one long shot. Both Hendrick cars. I'm taking the Kyle Larson plus 450. He's led the most laps here in the past 4 or 5 races by far. And then Alex Bowman has had a ton of success at this track recently. Last 4 races, 3 top 5s and a win. And he's plus 1,600. And he needs to get a win eventually to just kind of be in the group of Hendrick drivers that are winning. So taking him, and then I don't have these picks yet, but I might do another 3-car top 10 parlay, because that was my one this week. Looked good at one point. I had SVG, Josh Berry, and Gregson, and they were all in the top 5 during stage 3. So yeah, might add one of those, but I'd have to do some research to see who I'm putting in there. But that's it for me.
I'm gonna add Josh Berry top 10.
I like that, actually. It's
plus 200. He finished 10th here last year, but even last week he looked good. He deserved better finishing position than what he ultimately got. So Josh Berry plus 200.
Cool. Anything else you guys want to touch?
No, just big thank you to everyone who helped us successful Talladega weekend. Morgan, Patrick, Raquel, David, Jake, Lindsay, everyone from the NASCAR team. And then also Annie, Large's wife, who helped us look really good on social, taking pictures and videos of us the last couple weeks, not only at Martinsville, but also Talladega. So a lot goes into this. There's a lot of moving pieces behind the scenes. I appreciate everyone who contributes in whatever capacity it is. But thank you to so much for everyone who lets us have a great experience at the track week after week.
You guys think Corey LaJoie is going to be pissed that we went the whole fucking podcast and mentioned that he basically ended the race on his roof? Right?
Yeah.
What does this guy have to do to get? Yeah. What does he have to do? He's going to finish P18 sliding across the finish line on his side door.
Yeah.
So
and one more thing for me, they stopped taking down the scoring pylons.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why they're doing that. They're telling you to look at an app instead. If anything, it's just whether people use it or not, which I think people genuinely do. It's a cool aspect of the track. It's like
Also,
something that makes a racetrack a racetrack. I don't know.
the infield of fucking
And it's up. It's not like you're not building one. You're
Yeah.
you're taking it
Talladega
down.
has room for 100,000 fucking campers, and you're telling me a 4x4 LED screen that's vertical is built like a skyscraper is taking up too much real estate?
Yeah, it's
Fuck out of
crazy.
here.
And I guess they did it at the track the week before, too.
Yeah.
Which I didn't even know
Texas
about.
and then
But
and
yeah,
then
Texas,
Talladega.
they took it down.
Yeah, I hope that's not a sign of things to come because it was definitely missed. It's there aren't many skyscrapers in Talladega, so that being the biggest structure outside of the grandstand was easily recognizable and easily that you could just kind of go and see what was going on. But now even the TV screens that they're using, those big diamond visions, which are great, only show the top 6 drivers at a
Right.
time. Yeah, which is fine for us because we only pick winners, but for everybody else, it must be awful. All right, so that's it from us. Thank you again to Alvin Kamara as well. And enjoy the races this week. Guys, we'll see you next week on Rubbin's Racing.
Peace.
Peace.